guys, I can't wait for this video because I got my Melt package yesterday and I just want to sit down and play with these items with you guys and just see how they perform. And I didn't get the whole collection because that shit's expensive and I didn't want to spend like $300 for the PR package, so I only ended up getting one of the palettes and I got the Muerte palette. This is the kind of blue and red palette, and I also ended up getting the highlighter, which, look at that packaging. Like, is that not just stunning? And then you can kind of slip it out like this, and then the highlighter is inside of this thing. And this is what the highlighter looks like. Now this thing was quite expensive. It was $39, I'm pretty sure. And this is kind of like a pinky peach duochrome highlighter. It's absolutely stunning. I love the skull in the middle of this. I think that the packaging on all of these products are just absolutely stunning. So I will show you the palette. I have already taken it out of the packaging and I have already swatched this. And I will say that one of the shimmer shades in this palette kind of came a little bit broken to me. Not broken, but almost just like separated. I don't know what happens to Melt's shimmer formulas and shipping, because this happened to me with the Smoke Sessions palette too when I got that one. So I was able to just like press it back into the pan and like it's fine, it's not a big deal. As for the swatches on this palette, I thought that they swatched beautifully, but I will say that the feel of these shadows were kind of like dry and gritty, but I mean, obviously they swatched really nicely, so I'm really curious to see just how they're going to perform on the eyes. Now this was a really expensive palette as well. This one retails for $58, which is a lot for an eyeshadow palette, especially when you only get, how many shadows are in this? Like 8? No, 10 shadows, but still 10 shadows for $58, that's a lot. I will say that the packaging is absolutely stunning. It's very heavy, very sturdy, feels very nice in the hands. So I do understand that a lot of money probably went into packaging, but I do hope that the quality of this is, you know, worth the price tag. So that's what we're gonna find out. And I do want to just do a short disclaimer before we get into the rest of this video that I'm not going to be able to pronounce any of these names because I have not been growing up around Spanish. English is my second language. I don't have a third language. I don't know anybody who is Spanish, and I'm also not going to sit down and study for an hour just to figure out what all of the names in this palette means. I'm sorry if that offends some people, but I just don't have time for that. Like, I'm so sorry, and I know a lot of people are going to come for me in the comments, and that's totally okay. Look, I understand that this is a very special collection for a lot of people, and there's a lot of history and tradition behind this that I simply just don't know about because I don't know anybody who is Spanish and I don't know a lot about the Spanish culture. So please no, I'm not trying to offend anybody by not knowing any of this. It's just that I have other things to do with my life than just study Spanish, okay? Like, I'm so sorry, but I'm just here for the eyeshadows. I just want to know how the eyeshadows perform, and I hope that's okay. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to start by priming my eyes with my Natasha Denona eyeshadow base like I always do. And I do feel like it's kind of sad that us as YouTubers need to make disclaimers all the time, but like, there's just always going to be people who come for us for the things if we don't make disclaimers, and they're probably going to do so even though I do make a disclaimer, and at least I feel better about myself if I do make a disclaimer. So I know it gets a little bit repetitive and it probably sucks to listen to, but like, if it can make me feel a little bit better about the situation, I'm just gonna have to do that, you know? Like, the more people you get watching your videos, the more people you're gonna have that are a little bit too sensitive about makeup sometimes, and it's just how it goes. So let's just get into playing with some of these things now. I think I'm gonna go ahead and actually apply the highlighter first because I just really want to know what this looks like. I just don't even want to swatch it because I don't want to ruin like the beautiful imprint here, but we're gonna do it anyway because I do want to see what this is going to look like. At first when I saw this on the website, I wasn't sure if it was maybe going to be too dark for me, but that actually looks really, really, really nice. I think I should be able to wear that. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my Sigma F03 brush. This is like my favorite highlighter brush. And I'm just gonna apply this and see how it looks. I do feel like the formula is maybe a little bit like dry and powdery, and it's not like sticking to my face that well, but I do think that the color of it is really nice. I feel like this is the kind of highlighter that I might want to like spray my face with some setting spray before going in with this because it's not really showing up that nicely. Now I do have powder on my face already because I always powder my face because I do have very oily skin, but I'm gonna go ahead and take a little bit of my Morphe setting spray and just spray this on my face and then apply the highlighter on top of that and see if I can really make this pop. So let's go ahead and try this again. Yeah, that's definitely showing up a lot better. I will say I'm not like the biggest fan of this formula, if I'm being completely honest. I wish it was a little bit creamier and not as dry because I don't love having to do this every time I apply a highlighter. It's not really a step that I normally do, but I will do it like if the color of the highlighter is worth it, and I do feel like that looks quite nice now that I got a little bit extra on. I will say that if you're a fan of like more subtle highlighters, you would probably really like this, but personally I like something that's kind of like more in between, like seen from space and natural, and I feel like this is definitely more on the natural side for me anyway. And if you want to know more information about these palettes and like the history behind this, I will of course leave everything down below in the description box so you can go check out the site. But what I want to do is I want to dig into this palette. I want to put it on my eyes. I think the color story in this is so unique and so different and so inspiring, and I feel like a lot of these colors just go really nicely together, so I'm really excited about this. So I want to try to work with a lot of these shadows just to kind of see how they perform. So I'm first going to dip into the red shadow here. I'll have the names up on the screen because, like I said, I really don't want to offend anyone. It's like, you're doomed if you do, doomed if you don't, so it just doesn't really matter if I try or if I don't try. There's always going to be people who are upset either way, so I'm just not going to try because it makes me feel better about everything. So I'm gonna go ahead and dip into the red. It's picking up very nicely on my brush here. It does have a little bit of kick up in the pan. I'm gonna go ahead and put that into my crease here as my kind of transition shade, if you will, and then I'll probably go in and deepen it up with the dark blue. And I'm curious to see how this is going to pull on the eyes, because a lot of the times reds will kind of start to pull pink, so I want to see if this happens. But I really do feel like so far that this is looking very much like a true red, and that makes me really happy because it's kind of hard to find true red shadows. And it also seems very, very nice and buildable and smooth. So far, I feel like the shadow is performing absolutely beautifully. It's really easy to work with, it's easy to blend out, it's easy to build up. It definitely seems to be true to color to what's in the pan, and so this shadow just makes me really, really happy. That's stunning. So next up, I'm going to dip into the shadow right here. I'm going to skip this one because I don't like using too many shadows in my crease because I don't have that much space to like blend things upwards. So I'm just going to go ahead and stick to 2 here. So I'm going to use this to deepen up my crease with, and then I think I'm going to go ahead and put the blue in my outer corner of my eye and kind of wrap that around and start with the blues on my lower lash line. I think that's going to be the plan, so I'm going to keep this shadow a little bit lower down, and this is a lot more pigmented than I expected. Maybe I should have used the other shade instead. Oh well, okay, it's fine. We're gonna find a way to make this work. This is actually way more pigmented than I thought it was going to be, and I don't know why, but I like it. I'm never going to complain when a shadow is more pigmented than I think it's going to be. So since this color is a little bit darker than what I was expecting, I'm gonna go back into the red and just kind of work on the blend between the 2 colors. And I do feel like they are blending very, very nicely in together. So far, I'm very impressed by the couple of colors that I've used here. So you know what, I actually think I'm going to stick to my original plan here, and I'm going to go into the dark matte blue here, and I'm going to put that into my outer corners. And we're just going to see if this ends up working. I'm not sure if this is going to really... Oh, okay, that's going to be perfect. I wasn't sure if this was going to be dark enough, but I think this is going to work very well. That's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful matte dark blue. I love that. Oh, that is so nice and pigmented too. So I'm just placing this in my outer corner now and then kind of blending it up towards those reds that I have in my crease. I'm also going to bring this in just a little bit here. I mean, this shadow is just so easy to work with. I absolutely love the formula on this. It's also having like basically no fallout at all, which I find kind of rare with a dark matte blue, to be honest. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into this kind of dark teal shade here, and I'm going to start wrapping that around to my lower lash line. And I'm just going to connect that to the outer corner here. And just pull this about halfway across my lower lash line or so. And then for the inner portion of my lower lash line, I'm going to use the turquoise shade right here. And I'm first going to start by placing that in the inner portion of my lower lash line, and then after I put it down there, I'm going to bring it out and kind of blend out the darkest color that I also put down. And I am so impressed by all of these shadows, and that makes me so happy because I didn't have the best time with the Radioactive palette. That thing didn't really live up to my expectations. I think it's just because I feel like it was a little bit falsely advertised. Like, I don't feel like that palette ended up being a neon palette. Like, to me, it was more just a basic regular rainbow palette, but I know I probably have a unpopular opinion there, but I just wasn't really blown away by that palette. I thought it was okay, but I don't know, I was expecting more, you know? And I'm honestly surprised because I feel like this palette doesn't have as much kick up as a lot of other Melt palettes that I've tried. Like you can see I haven't really like blown on a palette at all or done anything to remove any fallout in the palette. So far I'm really impressed. So I'm just gonna take a little bit more of that turquoisey shade here and I'm just going to start blending out that darker teal color. And I really don't think I need to do a cut crease with this because I'm going to be putting the dark blue shimmer in the middle of my lid. So I feel like everything is just going to blend very nicely together here. So I'm first going to go in with this shadow right here. And that's picking up beautifully on my brush, not crumbly at all. So I'm going to go ahead and give that a spritz of some Fix Plus here. And then we're just going to place that in the middle of my eye. Wow, that is so much prettier than I thought it was going to be. Do you see the reflection that I see? Because that is stunning. Wow. Like the swatch for the shadow did not do the shadow justice at all. So I'm just gently using the edge of my brush here to just tap this into my crease and to make sure that it's blended into the outer corner here. Wow. I cannot get over how beautiful that shadow is. I feel like I could just stare at that all day. Really curious about this next one though. Gonna go into this turquoisey shimmer and put that on the rest of my lid, and then I'm gonna pop a little bit of that champagne shade in my inner corner. This one is also picking up beautifully on my brush here. So I'm just gonna place that in the inner portion of my lid, and that's stunning too. It's not as glittery and intense as the dark blue, but it's really nice and opaque. I'm just going to blend these two colors in together here. And then lastly, I'm going to take a little bit of this champagne shade down here and I'm going to pop that into my inner corner. And then I'll probably go back in with a bit more of those kind of red shades and just make sure that the blends on the outer parts of my eye and stuff is okay. I like to do that as like a last step to just make sure that it's looking nice and blended and the way that I want it. And this is like the perfect inner corner highlight. Like I love having a light kind of shimmer in every palette. I just feel like it's a necessity for me for how I like to do my makeup. Not that I can't dip into other palettes, but to me a palette isn't complete without having some kind of an inner corner highlight. And it doesn't matter if it's like a colored inner corner highlight or if it's like a neutral, but I do like to have something very light in my inner corners for the most part. And I think this color is just perfect for that with the rest of the colors in this palette. So I'm gonna just do a little bit more finessing on the outer parts of my eye here to make sure that all of the blends are looking good. And then I'll probably pop something into my waterline and like finish off this look. Haven't decided yet what I'm going to do, but I'm gonna go finish off all that and then I'll be right back and show you what the look is looking like. Here is the look all done and I am honestly so impressed and obsessed and happy about this look and happy about this palette and just happy about this situation. It's a good day, you guys. So for my waterline, I used Mars by Urban Decay. This is like a metallic dark green and I felt like it would just go very nicely with the shadows I had on my lower lash line. And then for my lipstick, I used Up All Night by Colourpop. This is one of the Ultra Mattes. And then on top, I just used the gloss from the Shane and Jeffree collab. So that's what I'm wearing currently. As for my thoughts on this collection, I will say that I'm a little bit disappointed by the highlighter. I felt like the formula on this was a little bit dry and chalky and it didn't really stick to my face. I wish it was a little bit creamier and had a little bit more pigmentation, but I think the color of it is absolutely beautiful. And I can definitely make this work by just putting on some setting spray before I go in with the highlighter, which isn't really a big deal. It's just a step that I would like to not have to do with my highlighters to make them be as intense as I want them to be. As for the palette, excuse my language, but I love this. This is so good. This is one of the best palettes that I feel like I've tried in, I can't even tell you how long. I feel like I've had so many misses lately and this just warms my heart and I really regret not getting the other one now, but I don't know, there was something about the other palette that just didn't really speak to me color-wise and like I'm not really a completionist, but having this now and knowing how good this is, I might have to buy the other one, even though I do have a rule for myself that if I don't buy something the day it launches, I don't allow myself to buy it, but I might actually break that rule and get the other palette because this is so amazing and fantastic. If you want me to review the other palette when it comes out, do let me know and I'll see if I can pick it up. I'm probably going to be way too late to the game, but that's honestly a palette that I just want to have as a collector's item in my collection because I just think that this is so beautiful. formula is amazing. It performed just so well. It was so easy to work with. I don't even have words. I think this just looks so good. So, I mean, I know I've only used this once, but I think I used every shade but 2 in this palette. 3 maybe. And I definitely give this my stamp of approval after my first time. Obviously, this is not a review. I'm for sure going to do more looks with this. I know I've said that about a lot of palettes lately, and then I just haven't ended up having time to do it yet, but this is definitely like second on my list of palettes that I'm going to do more looks with, and I'm so obsessed with this. I'm so happy about this, and I just want to thank Melt for finally coming out with a palette that made me happy, because it's been a while and I feel like I was just overdue to like something. Not for Melt, but just like in general. I feel like I've had so many misses lately that this just really cheered me up. So those are my thoughts, or first impression thoughts on the Muerte palette that I cannot pronounce. But thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to see some other first impression videos that I've done, you can click on one of these. And if you're new to my channel, I would love it if you would consider subscribing, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.